have missed something important. All right, there we go. Now the audio channel should be correct. So, considering that in about, I don't know, literally now is when AGDQ submissions are online. Now would be a good time to start my own submission. So, hello, I'm Roush. This is Golf with Your Friends. The category is called No Stroke Out. It is a fairly simple category to understand in the grand scheme of things. It's not anything too difficult. It is exactly what it says, no stroke out. So, explanation of what the category is. It's not any percent, because any percent just means you have to finish each and every hole. However, you can circumvent quote-unquote finishing every hole by simply failing every hole. So you can you make a little custom game in which you just stroke out every single time in like 5 seconds and beat each level in like a minute. Well, actually less than a minute. I think the world record's like, oh jeez, what is it? World record's like 3 minutes. So no stroke out is basically circumventing that category. It is the main category for this game, and it's essentially just completing every hole. So we're going to be completing every hole. A lot of the early shots here in Forest are simple, so there's not too much to talk about. So I'm just going to give an overview of what this game is. It's a little mini golfer that has some hilarious little mechanics, especially involving walls and jumping. There's a mode that you can do in which allows you to hop with your golf ball, but because we're doing no stroke out, it's classic mode, so there's no jumping or no special hopping involved in that. This hole is slightly difficult because you can get a couple of different patterns, and depending on what your pattern is, you could end up just getting bounced in between those metal beams for a little bit and waste a ton of time. But you know, we'll just be lucky and get a good one, a good seed that allows us to skirt right through them. Oh yeah, I should probably continue on with what this category is. So what no stroke outs entails is there are 6 different courses, and the goal is essentially just to complete them all. And obviously this isn't the best hole. I kind of got a bad bounce. I had a bad angle. So the whole speed aspect of this game is make shots quickly, make quick shots. That is, you don't want stuff that just careens everywhere and wastes a ton of time. So the goal is to stay A, as low to the ground as possible, B, as direct as possible, and again, just generally be quick about your shots. You really don't want to spend much time thinking about them. You want to be reacting. Now you'll see me do extra shots just to make things quicker. So sometimes your fastest shot isn't always like the most direct or the least number of shots. Sometimes it's faster just to take an extra shot or two to get to your destination. And oh yeah, I should probably mention this game's still kind of in beta, so it's not quite complete. So you will see a couple of bugs right now, and there's no guarantee that it'll be finished by AGDQ. However, there's also no guarantee that there will only be 6 courses by the time AGDQ rolls around, which, if that happens, I will just learn the course and redo my estimate accordingly. But as I said, most of the shots here in Forest are relatively simple, with the exception being Forest 15. It is kind of an awkward shot because of its nature. It generally is... it's not random, but like most of the shots in this game, it's very specific. So you need to make sure you have the right amount of power and the right angle to go along with it. Oh, that would have been amazing. Oasis is a little more difficult, and we get to see a few more special elements that are in this game. There are a bunch of different obstacles, one of which is coming up here fairly soon in Oasis 5. And in fact, even in Oasis 4, we get introduced to this little cone hill here. I think there's only 2 of them in the game, though. It's like Oasis 4 and then Twilight 2 are the only 2 little cone-shaped ones, but just unique little elements. So right here, this little ramp-esque thing, you really don't see it too often, at least not in the speedrun. Most of the holes that have those, we just get by through on alternate routes. Let's see, Oasis 6. Oh yeah. You want to be really careful on Oasis 6, because if you saw where we were aiming for, we were aiming at a small portion of a pole that's slightly in a corner somewhere. These little pole elements, we're not going to really use them, but in the game you can reflect off of them, bounce off of them. Actually, no, you'll see that. You'll see that in Oasis 18. Here, we're just going to bounce off this little obelisk-esque thing in the back. It's not quite an obelisk, it's just a rock, whatever. And here, a couple of little half pipes. These little booster pads, they're pretty cool, I guess. Oh, that's too much angle. Whatever. We'll get close to the hole anyway. But Oasis is fairly technical. Alright, and this is one of my least favorite holes. It generally... Oh dear. You're gonna roll all the way off, aren't you? Alright, whatever. It just means I had too much power on the shot. Alright, we'll take off a little bit of power. Boom. There are, I don't know, 5, 6 different ways to get to this hole on this course. There's going down to the far end, and then there's a little ramp to get up to the top. There's a little bridge in the middle, and then there's this little upper jump shot that you saw me take. Tree strats. You just bounce off the tree. Unfortunately, it's like 2 pixels. It's like a 2-pixel shot. There we go. There we go. And then, oh, you can jump out of water. So, most of your shots you make by holding right mouse click, and then you just let go to shoot. And it's the same thing for jumping. When you're in water, you press and hold and it jumps. And depending on A, how deep you are in the water, and B, how long you hold is going to be how far you jump. So. Oh. Oops. I don't normally miss these, I promise. Anyways, so Oasis 14, we have to wait for a cycle on this little Sphinx, and luckily we got a really good one. So it opens and closes his mouth, and we have to wait for it to open the mouth in order to go through. So, but luckily we got a good pattern, so we were able to jump through relatively quickly. And a simple little shot makes it in. Now that we're inside the pyramid, there are a couple of extra elements here that you can bounce off of and generally have fun with. I don't have fun here. Oasis is probably my least favorite. Actually, it is my least favorite map. It was just the most difficult for me to get a hold of when I was first starting out this game. And it was generally unpleasant. jump off the pot to get to this area. There is another route that you can take. Oops. There is another route that you can take, but I prefer going over the pot. I find it more consistent. Just depends on what you feel is easiest. It may or may not be the quickest route, but for me it's the most consistent. So I think it's generally the best. If it's consistent for me, it's the best. Alright, so what I was talking about, the little poles. I lied when I said we weren't going to ricochet off of one. We're going to ricochet off this one. So normally for this hole, you'd have to go all the way up and around. But, you know, we're speedrunners. We don't like doing things the long way. We like making the really quick shots. So in between each kind of victory, oops, the game takes like 10 seconds before it sends you back into the overworld. So you can retire once you hit the last hole and skip that cutscene. Just what I did. So it's not, this isn't as deep a cone as Oasis 4, but Twilight 2 is a cone and you do have to be careful for it. Because you can get trapped up. Alright. Twilight has a couple of interesting little elements to it as well. Starting here with Twilight 5. There are these little rings that are in the middle. If you fall down them, you will have to redo your shot. But, you know, we can just kind of jump over everything and end up in the hole. It's really awkward to do casually. That was another one of the holes that took me forever to learn when I was first starting out this game, because I wanted to see if I could just jump straight. But, you know, you kind of have to angle it in order to get down there. Let's see. This is kind of a tricky shot to line up because I think I was slightly off. Well, I mean, I was slightly off, but I think I need... There we go. That's just a tricky shot to line up. I think it has like a 2-pixel window. You need to have the right power to be able to land in front of the little ramp, the little tree. It's actually a tree that you're jumping up. So you have to have enough power to make it there and get on top, but you don't want to have too much power that you just slam into the side. But you also need to have the right angle so that it doesn't pop you straight up. Because if it pops you straight up, you're going to fall all the way back like I did. Which is generally not what you want in this game. Twilight 11. This is an interesting hole if I get it right. There we go, and I did. So normally, it's a giant tree with like 4 pieces carved out in between it. Well, 4 levels carved out, so you have to jump down all the holes. But as you saw, we kind of just jumped and skipped all of the holes and ended up straight on the bottom. My least favorite game of pachinko. Yay. I love getting pachinko. Aim for the mushroom here. So you're jumping over. There's a little arrow on the ground that you saw that we jumped over. And then, but you don't want to like get caught on this metal part at the edge. Alright, this is not a good setup. Not a good setup. So I'm just gonna take this. The fast strat is to go through one of those cutouts at the back end of the barrel, but I didn't think I had a good one lined up, so I just took it easy. Twilight 15 is rather frustrating if you don't know the strat, because there is a really long way and then a relatively short way. So if you miss that first shot at the back end and you overshoot, don't worry, there's a little lane at the end, but it wraps all the way around the hole, and it's just frustrating. Unfortunately, we got a little bit of a roll here. I really don't like this hole, but you know, you kind of just have to bear it. There is a hole-in-one strat that I'll probably have learned by the time AGDQ rolls around. I just didn't get to it before today for reasons. But I should have it down, and it'll make that hole a lot easier. Twilight 17, more water stuff. Get down here, but you don't want to go too far. There is a hole-in-one strat for Twilight 18, but I find it more consistent to do this little jump over here and take the 3 strokes. And as you notice by my my live splits, I am the world record holder. That's probably going to change because the dude who formerly held the world record, his name is Lance. He is far more talented than me at this game, and I anticipate him overtaking me in the near future. But I've been getting much more consistent, so I expect even my time to go down. But the older world record was 33. It's like 33:14, so I dropped it by 30 seconds. And a lot of that has to do with my ancient. The old world record was like 2 months old. So, as I said, this game is still in beta. They are editing maps still. So, the old world record and my record kind of has some map differences, of which I might explain once we get down there. But first, Haunted, more pretty cool elements in my opinion. There's a lot of like spooky themed items and make this a whole lot of fun. So here we have a ghost cart coming up next. We had like a haunted table, chairs floating in midair. There's a little cart that rolls around here that we're gonna try and avoid. And power through to the hole. And then Haunted 7 has one of the most interesting elements in this game, in my opinion, and that is Casper the Unfriendly Ghost. And I call him unfriendly because he's sort of like a ball repellent. So he has this little circle hitbox beneath him that you can see, and it sort of, well, it blocks the balls. Shortcut, you go through those coffins over there, but you know, I didn't quite get that, so I'm stuck doing this longer strat. It doesn't waste that much time. As you see, it only wastes about 10 to 15 seconds, so it's not too bad. Though, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, as holes go, that is fairly long. Haunted 9 is usually a long, hole with, like, there's a path that you have to go to the left, but utilizing the game's normal jumping physics, we can just sort of skip, like, a third of the level, if not half of it. To be honest, I don't know how much of that is. And these little pads here, as you saw, they kind of give you a little jump boost. So if you're jumping, it just increases that height. All right, we're gonna aim right here. There we go. Bounce off the book and end up here. No need to worry about goats. Haunted 12, the gorilla. This is a gorilla that we're staring at. We're gonna go straight through the gorilla. I hate the gorilla. Am I in a good spot? I am not in a good spot. I'll just end up here. That's fine by me. And even then I didn't end up in a good spot. That's unfortunate. Doesn't matter. We'll just take the easy shot. Haunted 13, another bookshelf. This one's fairly simple. You kind of want to go straight through the bookshelf. And then here, there's an adorable little hill that doesn't really matter. Next up, we have the cauldron. The cauldron has sort of like this little air pocket that shoots up. And that gets us up to this upper platform that takes us straight to the goal. This little wind element appears one more time in the speedrun, and it's in Ancient. And we'll cross the bridge when we get there. All right. Oh, I missed it by that much. Not bad. Haunted 16 is a really interesting hole. It's probably the longest hole in the game. But we're going to attempt to make it a little bit shorter than that by skipping about half of the track elements and just clipping through that bookshelf over there. And that just takes us straight down to where the goal is. There's like a spider webbing in the back and a whole section that we just skip back there. But you know, we're speedrunners. We don't want to do things the intended way. We want to do things the quickest way. And if that means ruining all the hard work that this game's developers have done, well, I mean, shoutouts to them. They've done a fantastic job. This game works great. I think there's 3 developers and then 1 dude does the music. I'll have to double check on that. But this game's amazing, and I highly recommend it casually, especially if you have a lot of friends. This game is just a whole lot of fun. And I love playing it with my friends too when I first started out. All right, we actually have to wait for the cycle. Wait for those ghost axes to lift. All right, and now for my least favorite map. People will argue it has the best music, but I argue that I don't know. I don't like the music as much because it gets so repetitive rather quickly. I tried to get the shortcut there, but I didn't get it, so we just had to take the long way. No biggie. That's unfortunate. This little ramp is just... it's annoying to me. It's inconsistent. So, like, I have a setup that gets me close to holes in one, but sometimes it just doesn't work out so well. Okay. There we go. There are 2 different routes that you can take for Candyland 3. Unfortunately, I had to take the slow route, given how the cycles on these little Oreos are. But no big deal. This one, I'm just going to aim backwards. And then that's going to take me near the hole. If not a hole-in-one. We like holes-in-ones. 3 different routes here on this next hole. Right, left, and center. I kind of like left. Left is fine. It gets you nice, easy hole-in-twos. So for Candyland, you're going to see me go less for the hole-in-one strats, because a lot of them take longer. And just go for ones that kind of bounce less. Most of the holes-in-one in this world do cause a lot of bounces. So like there's a hole-in-one for Candyland 7, but there's a lot of bouncing involved. And it wastes like 3 seconds compared to this. I don't know. Well, I mean, I know, but... it just honestly gets annoying. Oh yeah, I should probably mention, the camera does play tricks in this game. So depending on how your camera is, you're going to get different results. So there's a little shortcut here in Candyland 9, but I'm not going to do it. Because it's super inconsistent. And it is pixel and camera dependent. And I just haven't found a good consistent setup, so I'm just gonna do the easy shot. All right, chocolate slide here. There is another hole-in-one strat that involves bouncing off this little green Jolly Rancher thing in the back, but I find the slide to be significantly more consistent. So we're just gonna go for that one. Boop. I don't even know what the rest of this course looks like up this hill, because I've always just realized, hey, I could jump all the way down to the hole. So I've always done that. Get set up for a nice hole in 2. Get a good angle, get a good power. The little divot slows the ball fast enough. One of the things that you want to avoid in this game is, it's called toilet bowling. I heard some people refer to it as, which it's basically your golf ball just twirls around the outside of the little cone, because sometimes you have little divots in between like the holes. So you kind of want to avoid that. So you want to pick the most direct route to the hole, so that way you don't get chopped up. There we go. That's more like it. As I said, the camera loves to play tricks, and in fact my angle was a little bit off on that too. Alright, so this is supposed to be kind of like a water tutorial level, I guess. There's like another little tutorial signpost in Twilight as well. But you know, we just skipped the water element, because screw water elements, I guess. The developers really left a lot of room in their worlds, and I greatly appreciate that, because it makes the game so much more fun to play. Alright, this is another kind of camera dependent shot. I'm only going to try for it one more time, and I missed it. And then I'm just going to do my normal shot from here, which is straight up the middle, 3.1 power. Just to get down to one of these slides. So if you jump over that cone at the right angle, you'll get caught on the top little candy cane slide, and that just skips having to toilet bowl around. And does skip a little bit of the RNG. Oops, bad timing. There we go. Much better. Much better. But that is the most RNG in the game. But even that, it's kind of cycle based. So generally, if you avoid like the first hole, the first, I don't know what to call them. They're like gumballs. Like if you avoid the first set of gumballs, you'll generally be fine. Oops, I was off slightly. There we go, much better. Never mind, we're just gonna power up and go the outside route. Forget that then. The hole-in-one strat is to get on top of this little slide, but it's very thin. Alright, we have to wait for the rock. Boom. Little Indiana Jones boulders. Boulders. Yeah, Indiana Jones bowling. Doesn't everybody remember that time that Indiana Jones went bowling? I certainly don't. Alright, Ancient 4. This one is kind of tricky. Because you have to time everything based around where these logs are. So we're gonna hold on for just a second. There we go. And then that log's gonna be out of the way for us. Except I missed my shot. Oh, great. That's not good. Yeah, I got my camera caught. There we go. That's more like it. Yeah, I kind of just got my camera caught on the corner there. Ancient 5 is another water element, but we're going to try and skip all of the water element. Well, most of it. So there are like these little branching paths that you can jump from one canal to the other. But I like jumping over all of them because it gets me into a nice spot to get to the hole. Just a personal preference. Oh, that's too wide. Yep. There we go. Alright, so there's 2 wide, and then there's... good enough. So there's a couple of different shots to make for that one. It's usually not a difficult hole. This one, there are a bunch of different pathways to make it down to the hole. But you know, we just jump over everything because it's fun. Common theme, just jump over everything. If you don't like it, just jump over it. It doesn't matter. Like Ancient 17. If you don't like it, just jump over it. However, I do kind of like it. And it's also inconsistent. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Ancient 9. Oh wow. I could not have landed more in line with the hole. I don't know how I did that. Alright. 3 different pathways, straightforward over the bones, path to the right, path to the left. I like the path to the right. It's just my path of choice. I like the path to the right. But the right and left are essentially the same. It doesn't matter which one you go into. Alright. This hole, I really don't understand what they were thinking about, what the devs were thinking. Because after the first like corner, you saw like there's a little slope. That slopes out. So if you don't, it's really difficult to get around that casually. Like I said, I don't know what the devs were thinking when they created that hole. Because it's kind of an annoyance casually, to be honest. But you know, because we're speedrunners, we know all the holes and all the little nuances. We really don't bother. We're gonna aim for that one. Boop. And that's gonna take us right over here to the hole. Branching pathways again here. There's a lower path and then the tunnel path. I prefer the tunnel path. I find it more consistent. Though I know a lot of people, a lot of other speedrunners prefer to take the lower path, which is just a couple of extra jumps. Huh, nice little hole-in-one strat here in 14. Smiley face. Ancient 15. I really don't want to explain this hole because it makes little sense to me. So you have like these little push-up platforms, then you have those little scissors. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go down, there's a little ramp on the other side of this little pool, and you're supposed to use that to get up to the whole area. I really don't understand the point behind them. But you know, I'll play the game and just skip all of that. Ancient 17, like I said, this hole is dumb. Alright. There we go. Is that good? I think that's good. Nope, that's not good. Yeah, no. That's really not good. Well, that's fine. So there's like a jump that you can take that bounces off the little mounds down here, and it actually gets you a little hole-in-one strat, but it's super inconsistent. So if you could just make it onto the little slide, everything's gonna be all right. But the slide is actually a 22 second auto scroller, I want to say. It's really annoying. I hate it. Okay. There we go, much better. And we'll just finish up right here. So a couple of closing remarks. This game is kind of technical. Most of the shots are frame perfect, if not a few frame window to get the hole-in-ones. But generally, I think it's a fun speed game. It's pretty fun casually, but in a speedrun, you have to play drastically different to how you would in a casual playthrough. And I think it's rather appealing as a speed game for that reason. I hope to see it at AGDQ 2018. And thank you all